I'm using a balayage board for the first time and I have a choice of two. This one is the one with teeth and this one is the one without teeth. Watch me use them both with frustration in my video. It was a big struggle, but I really enjoyed it and it was a bit frustrating, but it was good and it really turned out well, so I'm really happy. I worked on this waist length wig for 2 nights running. Altogether, it took me 9 hours to finish the highlights and toner. It was completely exhausting, but totally worth it. I want to just show you me doing the first highlight real speed. Watch me struggle with the first board. Later I'm going to use the other board. I don't get on with that one at all. I'll tell you why later. When I was researching how to use a balayage board, all the videos I watched were of these practiced hairdressers being really efficient with it and making it look so easy. Well, I'm here to say it's not. However, without the board, this would have been impossible. As I watch this back, I'm remembering how frustrated I was. How are you supposed to stop the board from moving? Coupled with the fact that my files aren't long enough, so I'm having to use one on top of the other. The first one is done, thankfully. It took ages and I was a bit shaky, but I start to get the hang of it after I've done a few. You might be able to see that I'm trying out different methods throughout the video to see what is the most comfortable. It looks so easy when it's on double speed. This first board I'm using is wide and flat, with one textured side and one smooth side. I'm guessing the textured side is for freestyle balayage. In other words, when you're not using foils like I am. This is the longest wig I've ever had to highlight. Did I mention its waist length? Apart from being the longest, I find bleach and balayage both very difficult. I've actually stopped highlighting with bleach on live clients because I don't like all the back and forth, watching to see when the first highlights I did are ready, when I'm still working on the rest of the head. The first balayage board I'm using is called Colorist, and I bought it from salon supplies near where I live. It's been in my cupboard for years, to be honest. I never thought I'd use it. I recently found out about the board with teeth. It looked interesting, so I bought one from Amazon. It's not branded and it was cheap, so I didn't mind paying for it just in case I did like it, and I wasn't sure if I was going to like it. As you can see from my other videos, I love clean sections. I'm painting the bleach on in a V or W pattern, a couple of inches from the roots, depending on how wide the section is. I'm constantly cleaning my gloves and apron because I don't want any spotting to accidentally happen. This is very, very important. It takes a lot of concentration to do a job like this because you don't want it to be a mess. You don't want your sections to be too untidy. You want to saturate the hair, all those things in order for it to be an amazing result, because you don't want to work this hard for hours and hours and then not get the perfect result that you need. I knew it would take a long time to apply bleach balayage to this whole head, so at the back I used bleach with 3% and Olaplex, of course, which turned out to be a mistake as it took so long to process that I ended up going over it again with bleach, 6% peroxide and more Olaplex. At the top here I started using the other balayage board. This one has teeth, so I thought it would help get an even weave and tease. All it did though was push the weaves together, and as it is a narrow board and it has a raised edge and my foils were wider, so it was a complete mismatch. And you can see that the teeth are getting stuck behind the foils. I decided to stick with it to see if I could get used to it, and with the narrower sections, like at the front, it worked quite well. There were a few things I didn't like about it. It was very bendy, whereas the other one wasn't. It wasn't wide enough, and the raised edges were annoying. Apart from that, it was great. To help it develop a little faster, I put it in my airing cupboard where it's nice and warm. After 30 minutes, I started taking them out a few at a time, making sure they were nice and pale yellow. I took my time on the front and the top. Obviously, they are the most important sections and the most fiddly. I'm still using the board with teeth, but the hair is so long I changed back to the flat board again. The teeth were useful at the top to backcomb before painting, but I had to remember to make sure the backcombed pieces were completely out of the way, otherwise I might have got leakage and spotting. I was worried that the teeth were going to tear the foils, another thing to be aware of. Wow, at last the highlights are done and they are the perfect colour for the toner to go on top. I'm using 789 Coliston and 3%, and I'm trying to apply it as quickly as possible. I was even thinking that it would be easier to use a sponge, but in the end I didn't. As you can see here, I have got my sponge ready, but I didn't use it in the end. It's at this point in the proceedings that I start getting quite proud of myself, and I start to get my energy back now. So I'm going to put the toner on and then it will be done. I'm so excited. I'm nearly at the end of this process now. It's great. Please excuse the state of my polyhead. As you can see, it works very hard helping me with my colouring. It has been suggested to me that I should get a nice clean one to replace it. It would cost me a fortune to buy a clean head every time I start a colour, so I'm not going to do that. If you managed to get this far, I commend you. If you enjoy my videos, I'd love it if you would consider subscribing to my channel, as well as liking and commenting on them. Thanks for watching.